Well, good evening, Gopher fans, and welcome back to another episode of Sky U Pod, your college huddle Golden Gopher football podcast. Tonight, we have some great guests joining us. We have Chris and we have Eric from the Ohio podcast. They're going to help us break down our Week 6 matchup against the Ohio State Buckeyes on the road, 6:30 on Saturday, the juggernaut of the Big Ten. Eric, Chris, thanks for joining us. How are you both doing tonight?
Doing great. And Spencer, thanks for having us, man. Appreciate you giving us the invitation. Kurt, thank you for joining me last night for our own preview on our side. And just tickled pink to be able to do this. It's one of the things I love about being a part of the College Huddle is having so many podcasts to collaborate with, 86 of them from coast to coast. And I'm just going to be straight up honest. Sky U Pod's one of my favorite. I told Chris I was bragging about you guys. You guys are fantastic to work with, man. We go way back, like we were talking about the other day, Kurt, all the way back to the big banter days.
I know you guys all miss Big Banner.
Like the Pac-12, some things just weren't meant to last.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for joining us today. I'm excited to talk about this. Unlikely, but it is an opportunity for a Golden Gopher team to potentially shock the world and beat the reigning defending national championship team on the road. Highly, highly unlikely, but yet we can dream as Gopher fans.
I understand it's a big deal that it's a night game to Buckeye fans.
Yes.
We don't get near enough night games. We've been kind of the poster child for Fox, getting stuck with big noon kickoff for the better part of the last 2 years. It makes Buckeye fans sick. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
It really does, because we don't come out with the fire we do at those 3:30 and night starts at noon. We just don't. I don't know whether the crowd's still hungover from Friday or what, but let me just tell you, it's just not the same environment.
Yeah, and athletic director Ross Bjork, one of his first projects when he got here and took over for Gene Smith was improving the atmosphere, and a lot of that has to do with his time in the SEC and him and some of the donors. They went around to different venues around the country last season and witnessed what night games were like in other stadiums that have that type of a reputation of having a tremendous home field advantage at night. And he got a lot of money and implemented a lot of that. And then Fox handcuffed us for like 6 straight weeks. And we didn't get to see any of it until the Tennessee game in the college football playoff. And so we've had one night game, but it kicked off and it was still light out because, the sun's hasn't quite the earth hasn't tilted quite yet to where the sun's setting at 6:00. But this one being a 7:30 kick, it's going to be dark enough to where all the new bells and whistles from the beginning of the game will be experienced by everybody with the new LED lights and the fireworks and the new Hell's Bells tradition when the team comes out to, which is the best new entry in college football. They ring the victory bell with a traditional, someone from the history of Ohio State football rings the victory bell and preemptively rings the victory bell, and then the team walks out to Hell's Bells. It's pretty cool. So we're excited about it, and the fans are talking about how excited they are, and it's been a long time since the fans have talked about, I can't wait to get there for the night game. So yeah, we're excited about it.
We actually get legitimate competition for this night game, Eric.
Yeah, true.
Usually when we get a night game, we're stuck with OU or somebody like that, a MAC team or worse, one of these teams like Grambling from the FCS. That's what we normally have gotten stuck with for the last few years for night games. And, it's going to be nice to actually have a Big Ten night game.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. I want to take you guys back to the start of the season and just kind of get your guys' thoughts, because reigning national champions, that's obviously always your guys' expectation, is to be back into that game year in and year out. You lost both defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator to different jobs. Chip Kelly went to the NFL, and Knowles ended up at Penn State. what were your guys' concern level with that turnover at both spots heading into this year? Obviously, I think Ryan Day's proven now to even Buckeye fans that were maybe upset with them after the Michigan game that he's a tremendous coach, obviously. Just what was your concern level? And I guess, like, obviously, Natty's always expectations, but was there any gap in people's mind of this might be a learning year under new coordinators on both sides of the ball?
Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah, for me, I was confident. I was very confident with Brian Hartline, honestly, and I wasn't quite as confident with Matt Patricia. I was a little concerned with Matt Patricia due to what we saw in the NFL, but it was primarily his head coaching experience that scared me in the NFL. One of our colleagues, TG, kind of straightened me out on that a little bit, and as I researched it more, I started thinking, yeah, this might be an okay hire, and now it's just like unbelievable. I mean, the guy is a mad scientist who's got some of the greatest toys in the world to play with. I mean, you talk about the fact that he's got the best defensive player in the country in Caleb Downs to play with. No disrespect to your safety, who's All-American caliber as well, but I'm just telling you, Caleb Downs, best defensive player in the country. Yeah, I mean, he's got a tremendous group of linebackers. This team did not miss a beat. We had initially came out and said, slow your roll. Expect some growing pains. But Eric, I mean, you may agree with me on this. You may disagree. I don't think we've experienced near the growing pains we thought we would.
No. I mean, we lost 8 starters on defense and the
8 NFL starters, by the way, or quality, NFL quality players.
Draft picks, yeah. And
Yeah.
and a defensive coordinator who everybody was calling the best defensive coordinator in college football to a rival in your conference. And you bring in this Matt Patricia guy and you're like, how's this going to work? Yeah, there was concern there. Definitely. You're breaking in a new quarterback again. And there was this competition, and neither one seemed to pull away from each other between Lincoln Keynotes and Julian Sane. And, how's the offensive line going to gel this year? And you had all these question marks. And so we came away from all the preseason saying, okay, here should be the goal of this team. Let's win 10 games because 10 and you're in. That's the how we look at it in being in the Big Ten. If you're in the Big Ten and you get 10, you're in. Let's beat the team up north because we haven't beaten them in 4 years or 5 years, but 4 tries because they skated during COVID, and so that's kind of my goals. I was like, okay, let's beat them. Let's get the 10. Let's get in. Let's get a chip in a chair, as like Chris likes to say. All you need is a chip in a chair and see what happens. Now all of a sudden you take down the number 1 team in the country at the time, which obviously Texas is nowhere near the number 1 team in the country. I think everybody can agree on that. Because Arch Manning apparently is not really a Manning. Did you guys know that? Someone should check the DNA is all I'm saying. Get a DNA check.
No,
here.
Eric, nobody outside that family could look that goofy.
Oh, well. Eli, anybody?
Yeah.
So no, so a little bit of the shine is off on that game, but then you go into Washington and you got all the Ohio State haters, and there are plenty of them out there, guys, who love to pick against Ohio State no matter what. And they're like, if you play a team that's got a pulse, they're like, oh yeah, Ohio State's going down on this one. And you go out there and you play a team who's won 22 straight home games, who's averaging 55 points a game, and you hold them to 6 points. Yeah, I'm a believer in Matt Patricia now. Absolutely. Yeah. And even though we lost all that NFL talent, like Chris pointed out on the defensive side of the ball, I'm so confident now in this defense that literally the talking point right now is who will be the first team who can actually score double digits. Maybe it's you guys.
Yeah. Eric, I was telling you when we were recording, or maybe it was off air, but preseason I picked the Gophers to actually make this one a little bit more fun than people expected. But I didn't know that the Ohio State defense was basically the X-Men and just a bunch of mutants out there shutting down absolutely everything. And It's been impressive. You talk about the people that picked against Ohio State. I thought Washington was going to cover. I thought like it opened up at 10.5 points. I was like, that's a lot of points. Like first road game and Sayan's first road test. So I was one of the suckers that fell for that one. But go ahead, Max. You can ask what you're going to ask him.
Yeah, no, just to kind of go more into this year's team and kind of comparing it to last year, I guess, what do you guys see in terms of like where has this team, I know it's only been the first part of the season, but where do you think this team is maybe better than the team last year? And then if there's any like glaring, I guess, weaknesses, or I know you said there weren't many growing pains yet, but where have you seen maybe some growing pains, if any?
If you want to take the better, I'll take the growing pains, Chris, if you want to do
All right.
that. So growing pains. Running back. There was a lot of expectations for James Peoples. He was going into his second year. They go out in the portal. They get C.J. Donaldson from West Virginia, kind of a bigger back. They ask him to cut weight because he's kind of slow. He does that, but in doing so, even though he's kind of our bigger back, and he's doing a decent job at it, he's still not able to really hit the hole and turn 4 yards into 8 yards or 5 yards into 10, 15 yards. He's not able to really do that. But he's serviceable for what we need on a short yardage situation on the goal line, running the football there. But James Peoples has been he's just been a disappointment. He's not done what we expected him to do going into the season. But thankfully, we recruited incredibly well. And we got Bo Jackson, a true freshman who so far and this is a kind of a terrible comparison, but a great comparison at the same time. Freshman running backs at Ohio State, typically you've got Travion Henderson had a pretty good freshman year. Who am I thinking of before him, Chris? Went to the NFL.
Dobbins?
Yes, thank you. J.K. Dobbins. I almost said C.J. I'm like, hey, C.J. J.K. Dobbins had a really good freshman year, but that was because of injury that forced him to play. I think the best comparison to what Bo Jackson means to this team is Maurice Clarett from 2002. He has solidified.
Not a bad comparison.
He has solidified the running back in the rushing game for Ohio State, and just 4 short games he went from like no carries, didn't play against Texas to he's running back 1 and it's obvious against Washington. So kudos for him rising in the depth chart that quickly, and he has given this what was a giant concern the first couple weeks has kind of squashed that. And so that's kind of where I'm at with this football team right now. Some might argue Julian because at times he's looked like a redshirt freshman, but I'm like, he's doing exactly what the coaching staff is asking him to do. His completion percentage is really high. He's not making terrible mistakes. He's moving the football. He's taking what the defense is giving him, and he's learning every single possession. And I think he, too, is going to be a very dangerous weapon for Ohio State by the end of the season.
As far as the better goes, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, and it's going to sound crazy to me to hear me say this. I think our defense is better than last year's defense. And we had the number 1 defense in the country last year. I think these guys are better. I think the athleticism is a little better. I think our corners, believe it or not, are actually a little better, despite the fact that we sent a corner and a slot guy to the
safeties.
NFL.
Yeah, a nickel, a safety, and a corner of the NFL. Yeah.
I think our defense is actually better. A big part of that is, our linebacking crews Sonny's more experienced and as good. I love Cody Simon. Don't get me wrong. Guy led the team in tackles last year with 112 tackles. But Arvell Reese is an absolute animal. He is just a vicious animal out there. And then you talk about the game we saw just this past weekend. The cadence, amazing. We're getting tremendous defensive play off the line, which at times last year we didn't get. And a lot of that I think had to do with Jim Knowles' scheme. Because it wasn't a lack of talent. I mean, you saw the fact that we had our entire front line went to the NFL. But, just defensively all around, there's more. I think there's more athleticism. I think there's more intensity.
Oh yeah.
This team has taken on a different type of personality this year. And I'm telling you right now, the fact that we are right now holding teams to 5.5 points a game, that's no coincidence. And 5.5 points a game, and we are not playing like some fans from certain teams may say, we did not play a soft schedule. I mean, it wasn't the toughest schedule in the world, but you had the number one team in the nation. You had a Washington team that was coming in blowing the doors off everybody offensively. And then you had last year's defending MAC champions. That's a solid schedule, guys. I mean,
if you're calling it a soft schedule at this point, I think you're just a verified hater because, or you work at ESPN, which is the same thing. So
one and the same.
That's ESECPN.
Yeah, that's right.
To piggyback off of what Chris is saying there, guys, let me give your fans a little story about this football team. It's literally 2 days after they won the national championship, and they had their Sunday celebration, and they were putting up the banners in the practice facility, national champions, and they had it plastered everywhere. And the defensive captains walked into Ryan Day's office and they said, "Coach, take it down." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "Because this team you have right now today hasn't won anything. Take them down." That came from the players. And a lot of them were on that defensive side. That's why this is a nasty, tenacious, hungry defense that loves to hit and finds great joy in just tearing apart offensive game plans. And it's the old school silver bullets defense that we as Ohio State fans have been clamoring for but haven't had since Jim Tressel was around. No offense to Urban Meyer and what he did, but that's an offensive man who really wasn't concerned about defense because he was just going to outscore you more.
Right.
We have a defensive identity for a football team, and dare I say that is the identity of this football team is defense, and we haven't had that since the early days of Jim Tressel.
I was going to bring that up, that if you look just at the stats, it looks kind of like a Jim Tressel type team, but
oh yeah,
still way more dynamic overall offensively than the Tressel era, in my opinion.
It's a Tressel team that at any point could put up 70 on you.
Right. The receivers are. I mean, I wouldn't even say receivers was the problem under Tressel. He had great receivers. It's just it's a more modern offense than what maybe Tressel was running and whatnot.
Tressel still used a fullback, boys.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna make you guys pick a weakness here. If you had to go to this, we'll start on the offensive side. If you had to have a concern, maybe outlook going on for maybe not this week, but like the Oregons. I don't know who else is out there. Maybe Bama with how they're surging lately. What is your concern offensively? Is there like a guard spot that's got to pick it up? What's like the weakness of Ohio State's offense right now?
Ooh. Do you have one, Chris? I have one, but
I don't know if I'd call it a weakness as much as I would just call it a concern. And that's that though he's been around for a couple of years, Julian is still young by experience. And at times, I don't want to say he looks confused, but he looks hesitant at times.
Okay.
I think that by the end of this season is going to go away once he's got a full season under his belt. The other thing is we haven't seen Ryan Day and Brian Hartline just say, okay, let's let the kid cook. Mm-hmm. They've been very protective of him to this point.
Yeah.
And I think that's making that causes part of that hesitation at times.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say conceptually, offensively, Ryan Day is a little bit more conservative than he's ever been before, and I think it's because not only does he have a new starting quarterback, he has a new offensive coordinator who's calling plays, and so he's just kind of saying, "I know I've got this freaking amazing NFL defense over here. Let's just go ahead and not lose the game for them, and just make sure that we are." Taking one step at a time, learning how to crawl. Now that we're crawling, okay, now let me hold your hand and learn how to walk. And eventually, hopefully by week 12, we're off and running. but he's strategically for both, I think, Brian Hartline and Julian Sain putting in more of a conservative style of his offense. And that kind of concerns me that if we do that too much early on
Yeah.
when we play Penn State or the team up north, that could burn us, or maybe even against you guys this week.
But the other thing is, Eric, I could say that makes him more dangerous because now Ryan Day is learning how to win in close ball games and tight ball games. He's not just out there trying to outscore everybody.
Yeah, he's comfortable going into halftime saying, "Okay, we're down 3-0. Let's go win the middle 8 here." And then boom, you're up 14-3 and the game's over. That wasn't in Ryan Day's DNA. And now all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah, I can win doing that too."
That sounds a whole lot like Jim Tressel.
It does.
Is Day ever jumping on and telling them, "I want this play called here"? Or is he
Sure. I think he's told in press conferences. He said, "I've got the ultimate say. I can call a timeout and be like, no, let's run something else." Or he can say, "Hey, Brian, on 3rd and short here, let's make sure we're running it to the left side here." He's doing things like that.
Sure.
And there was a lot of people, especially during the first half of the Washington game, and was it the Ohio? Yeah, it was the first half of the Ohio game. A lot of people go, "Ryan Day's calling the plays again," and it's like he's not. And I actually know someone who was in the press box, and I texted him. I said, "Is Brian Hartline calling plays?" And he replied, "Yes." Why are they saying he's not? And I'm like, oh, people. Yeah, Brian Hartline is definitely the play caller. But yes, to answer your question, Ryan Day does have a veto power, but every head coach does, essentially.
PJ uses his too often. We're aware of that. Max, Shuddy, anything else you guys want to touch on before we let these guys get into the keys of the game?
I guess the only thing I was curious about, just from the Ohio State perspective, is I guess and I guess more you guys. I don't know if the average Ohio State fan really spends more than a second thinking about the Gophers, but I guess what are some things that you guys like or really don't like or would be concerned about if you had to break down this Gopher team, and not necessarily just for this matchup, but just as the season goes on, and I guess to give our listeners maybe some insight as to what fans of a powerhouse team might think of this squad.
Well, I think Minnesota's got one of the better independent fan podcasts out there. I don't know about anybody else, but that's
all we need. That's all we need to hear.
That's a perfect answer.
No, I think that there is. I think the diehard Ohio State fans are what Kirk Herbstreit calls the lunatic fringe, which we lean into on our podcast. That's fine. We've always kind of had one eye on Minnesota ever since PJ went there, just because he coached at Ohio State. He's a Jim Tressel guy. He talks a lot about Jim Tressel being his mentor. He still calls Jim Tressel up, and Ohio State fans love Jim Tressel. You won't find there are very few fans who dislike Jim Tressel. Very, very few. And so that connection, I think, is something that Ohio State fans keep an eye on. I look at Minnesota as kind of like this team in the West of the conference when we had East-West that you had to be cognizant of because they could win the West. There was always that threat of it. It feels a little different, to be honest with you now that the conference is so big. It's almost like, are you on our schedule? Okay, we'll pay attention. Are you not? Then I guess we won't have to until we look at the end of the results. And it's like, oh, guess what? We might be playing Minnesota and Indy for a Big Ten championship. Then obviously we would. So I think just because of the size of the conference now, there are certain schools that we're just not paying a bit of attention to because we don't play them. Maryland, right. Apparently they're good. I couldn't tell you that they're good or not. I haven't watched 1 second of Maryland football this year. We don't play them. Northwestern, right. I know they're a smart school. Haven't watched 1 second of Northwestern, and I'm not missing much there, to be honest with you. So have I caught Minnesota? Yeah, I watched them a little bit against Rutgers. I watched a little bit of that football game. I got invested in Minnesota because I need to know what they're going to do. What we think about the football team beyond that, I've always been concerned about Minnesota's rushing attack. Always been concerned about Minnesota's rushing attack. Let's go back to 2021. That game might be completely different if an injury doesn't take place.
Oh, if Ibrahim didn't go down, I'm pretty sure Minnesota wins that.
So, yeah, that's kind of our view of Minnesota. Now, since working with you, Kurt, all of a sudden it's like, and watching you guys against Rutgers, I'm like, okay, it's a little bit of a reset here. They're going to throw the football on us here. That's what they're going to try to do here. So, offensively, there's that aspect of things, but I always got one eye on Minnesota when it comes to Minnesota, Wisconsin, just because I think you guys do have the best rivalry trophy in the Big Ten, hands down. It's definitely not the stupid Illabuck. I'll tell you that right now. That is the
dumbest trophy ever.
No Buckeye fan is like, yeah, the Illabuck. We're like, get rid of that stupid turtle.
Yeah, I'll tell you. For me, I really like Minnesota's team. I was telling Eric earlier when we did our preview, I am a fan of PJ Fleck. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a guy that's a likable coach. But as I look at this team, I mean, there are a few players on that defense who I really think are worth keeping an eye on. Obviously, Coy Parrish, I believe, is the safety, the All-American safety, or a guy who's at least should be All-American. Very good player there. And then you talk about Anthony Smith. What's he got? 4.5, 5 sacks already this season?
Yeah.
The guy
he's
is
by far the
beast
best
on the
D-line player we got. Yeah.
Kurt and I the other night were talking about, him and Austin Severville, the game within the game. That's going to be an amazing matchup.
Watch.
If you watch our left tackle and their DN, just watch that the whole game. You're going to watch amazing football happening.
But Mike, what I'm most interested to see is how your offensive line matches up against our defensive line, because your offensive line, and I haven't had a chance to watch a whole lot of it. Like I said, I watched the Rutgers game. By the way, where was the rushing attack in that game? About 38 yards rushing, I think is what you guys finished up with.
It's been gone most of the last year and a half, to be honest. And
this is an offensive line where, as of 3 weeks, or as of last week, I think you guys only had 2 guys who graded out over a 70 on the offensive line.
To PFF, yeah.
Yeah, and when I look at Ohio State's defensive line right now, and they are on fire, I think that could be a major advantage if Minnesota doesn't come up big on Saturday. That could be something that could cause this game to get out of control early.
I'll say that. I'll be upfront. The physicality is definitely worrisome, just because this offensive line strength right now is pass protection. They're more athletic than strong right now, which I don't know if that's because some of them are young, but the right side's old, and that's the side that's kind of
we've been there, so we understand that.
I giving away one of my kids. I hope we go more tempo just to give Drake a chance to actually give it his best shot out there, but we'll see. We'll let you guys get into your keys of the game now and go ahead and end it with your guys' score prediction.
But before I do that, I do have to say thank you to you guys, because we inherited your physicality from your offensive line. Because Philip Daniels, oh my gosh, that guy is a beast, and he is so intense. I love it.
We miss him.
It is unfortunate that our right tackle is probably one of the biggest weaknesses on the O-line. So
that's
great.
Yeah. It is what it is. Like we said, and it's unfortunate of when it happened too, because listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you our NIL is anywhere close to Ohio State's. It's just not. It's never going to be. But the NIL is in the best spot it's ever been for Minnesota football. So to lose him, going back to his hometown team of all things, it was just like nothing you could really do about it as far as the Gophers go. And I quite frankly, I don't blame him. It just sucks that, like you guys brought up, we were just seeing the fruits of him. He was just becoming the full-time starting right tackle for us at the end of the year. And happy to see him doing well. Hope he struggles this week, obviously, but it'll be a good one.
Keys of the game. Okay. I think it's important for Ohio State to start fast. They've not started fast the last 2 games. Against Ohio and against Washington, it was a slow offensive starting starting point. And so by the end of the game, yeah, the score was more than what they had as far as the spread, but getting there was a struggle for the offense. It's very important that for you guys that continues for Ohio State. I think that they're really emphasizing that this week in practice, getting off to a fast start. And if there's one thing I've learned about so far under Ryan Day the past couple years is when he emphasizes something, 9 times out of 10, the team delivers for him when he emphasizes it. And so I think it's going to be important for you guys to not let Ohio State get off to a fast start. For us, it's all about getting off to a fast start. We also, another key that we need to do is we need to create more turnovers. Now, it's a two-sided coin. When you're forcing 3 and outs all the time, it's hard to get a lot of turnovers. We've only created 3 turnovers in 4 games, but on the flip side of that, we've turned the football over, I believe, 4 or 5 times in that same span. So we're losing the turnover battle more than we're winning it. And I think that's another reason why Ryan Day's kind of kept the kid gloves on for Julian Sain. Is like, okay, I know turnovers are a part of the game here, but let's not stub ourselves in the toe and beat ourselves here with turnovers. So let's prevent those. So obviously, I know it's very cliche to say turnovers and fast start and everything, but truly that really is the key to the game for Ohio State. Getting off to a fast start and not turning the football over, making Julian comfortable offensively, and then defensively, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Make Drake's life miserable, play around in the backfield, and if he's uncomfortable, it's going to be a long day for the Gophers in the shoe.
Yeah, for me, excuse me. For me, I think it comes down to a couple things. One, Minnesota has a very good rushing defense. We need to establish the run. You guys are holding teams to, I believe, 65.5 yards per game. It's quite impressive. I think we need Bo Jackson to get out there and establish the run early. Aside from that, because that's obviously also going to take pressure off of Julian Sain if we're running the ball well. Aside from that, we've got to get J.J. Smith involved early and often. And then defensively, it's about getting pressure. It's about getting pressure on the quarterback, making the quarterback feel very uncomfortable. It's going to come down to, I think, Caden Kenyatta, and I'm assuming Tywan Malone, who's been in there playing really, really well the last couple of weeks. Those guys are going to have to get serious pressure on him. And if they can do that and let the linebackers just sit back and clean up the run, it's going to be a long day for Minnesota.
With that, what's your guys' score prediction? Go ahead. You won't hurt our feelings.
Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I got this in 41-3 Ohio State.
I'm at 35-3. And that's how I think that those numbers, and it's not a slight on Minnesota, it's how confident we are in our defense.
We get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's impressive to watch so
Makes
far,
sense.
and the physicality of the Buckeyes defense. We don't think it's outlandish predictions. I'll say that. So maybe some of our fans are upset right now.
If it makes you feel better, one of my touchdowns I'm predicting to be a defensive touchdown.
There you go. See?
And I'll tell your listeners the same thing I told you, Kurt, and that is this: if you guys walk away with 10 points in this game, you should feel incredibly confident about your quarterback, man. I kid you not. I kid you not.
Cam's, I'll be in Vegas hammering Gophers money line. Hey, as long as you're hedging your bets, Cams, I love it. I love the confidence, man. Hit that Gopher money line.
I will say, what's the current spread that night, guys? I haven't looked at it today.
The spread was like 23, 24, somewhere around
I
there.
saw 23.5. Yeah.
I will say this: Ryan Day is notorious for not covering the spread, guys.
Really?
Really. Although this
Because he
year,
feels bad.
The last 3 games he's been over though.
So that was kind of PJ's calling card, even when we weren't having our best years. Was that he always covered, and we have not been a good team at covering either way, win or loss, this year against us. But that's interesting. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you go ahead, let our fans know where you're at, and go ahead and plug yourselves.
Yeah, of course, man. Over at YouTube at the OHIO podcast, we have a website, theohiopodcast.com. Articles, links, you name it, it's all over there. And of course, we're part of the College Huddle. And so just head on over to thecollegehuddle.com, scroll down to Big Ten. You can find Minnesota, Ohio State. We're both there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Take care. Well, that was Eric and Chris from the OHIO podcast, our leaders of the Big Ten Huddle.
Yeah,
Great
we should have
group
put
of
that
guys.
with Eric on. Eric is the brainiac behind the College Huddle. That was all his idea. He's put in a ton of work into that, and he's doing phenomenal. I'm glad their podcast is doing really well because they deserve it.
Yeah.
Let's get into it, huh? Listen, if that came across to cocky to any Gopher fans, I would just recommend going back and watching the games. I talked Washington up preseason. I still think Washington has, in a way, exceeded expectations for what most people had this year. I just think Ohio State is that good in all facets of the game. Like they brought up, the conservative-ish nature on the offense. They brought up our rushing defense, and there's times where it's legit, and there's times where I feel like it's boosted up a little bit from the situations the team has been in. Like, I don't know if you guys agree with this. I feel like when our defense thinks the run is coming and is geared up for it, this may sound obvious, it's pretty good. But when you hit us with an unexpected run, it's like poor tackling. Like Rutgers hitting all those 3rd and long runs around the edge. It's like when it's mixed in unexpectedly is all of a sudden where the run defense goes back to looking like mediocre, I should say. So to me, I'll just say one of my keys right now, it's get geared up and physical, especially on early downs, because I do think our front seven maybe challenge is too strong, but our front seven is a pretty stout defense. So we can make them earn it early. It's just you got to try and force 3rd and mediums, and then you got to be able to get off the field when those approach. We can bring up Eric's comment if we want. They're great guys. If you are a fan of the Ohio State in general, they're a great podcast to follow. So we have one friend from Minnesota who grew up to be a Buckeye fan, Woj, talking to you. So check them out. They're a great listen. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I guess to kind of just discuss, not necessarily keys yet, but breaking down what we can do based off of what Eric and Chris said. Their defense is really, really good. And particularly their secondary is incredible. It's just going to be hard to score points. And I just think that in order to maybe get something going, the running game has to be better. If anything, for Ohio State, I guess their running defense isn't as good as their passing defense, just based on the stats. Looks like
I thought they were weren't they number 2? I think they were number 2.
Yeah, so they're 27 nationally in run defense, allowing 97.2 yards per game. They're 8th in passing, but they're 1st in scoring defense. They're only allowing 5.5 points. So if you're going to try and get one of their weaknesses, maybe running the ball. But again, we're probably going to be without Darius Taylor. So it's going to be hard to get one of the other guys to step up. I think it's going to be up to Drake Lindsay to try and make some plays.
Can we just talk about the Gopher run game in almost a general sense here? It's struggling at times. And like I said, like the Rutgers game, which by the way, I did do a Rutgers break down, like post game on Sunday. I realized it never uploaded. There was an error in uploading it to the audio, so I apologize for that. It is on YouTube if you want to go back and just hear. It's just me just breaking down the game Sunday. But I talked about it in there. The run game is both. It was as bad, but also not as bad as it showed. Like we ran it, I think 17 times. It felt like 6 of those were in like those 3rd and 4th and shorts where we're just trying to burst through like a yard, like and get it. Now it failed, so that's obviously bad. But like I just don't think we're doing enough scheming and dressing up to even help it out. Like yes, it is struggling, and we can put a good chunk of that on the offensive line play, in particular the right side. But don't you think we could get some jet sweep motion involved just a little bit more? Or I suggested even bringing back the RPO just so the linebackers can't just come crashing down right away and give your line a chance to not only block the guys in front of them that are going to be really good this week, but potentially let them work up to that next level and create a little bit more push. Is another thing to keep them honest, fellas. I just don't think the scheme has been very creative at all. And I know at the end of the day, the O-line's got to execute and actually block, but it doesn't feel like we're doing a whole lot to help them out in general.
Yeah.
There's probably more we can try, but yeah, it's also hard when it's like guys are just coming through unblocked, and it felt like we were constantly in like situational, like when the passing situations came up last game, and then it felt like that's kind of what got us in a rhythm and kept us in a rhythm. And not that we like completely abandoned the run game. So I feel like last game was kind of like, well, I guess it makes sense to just maybe use the run when you have to and rely on Drake Lindsay. But I do agree. It seems like there's just this constant, like something's off with the run game. And part of it definitely is the offensive line, but it just feels like other teams figure it out, or like they just have their bread and butter of like, well, we can always go back to this and get, 4 or 5 yards if we really need it. It feels like we struggle sometimes to just get that 3-yard push. And again, half of it is the offensive line, just maybe being less physical or having less strength than we're used to. But I don't know. I think I agree.
My only concern, it's been like for 3 years now, and they've had good linemen. Ariel Dearster's a starting left tackle right now in the NFL as a rookie. So I don't know. I just think Harbaugh, he's got a lot to work on in there. And, you look at USC, who's actually pretty good at running the ball now. I know their offense is totally different, but they get your eyes going to a bunch of different places. And not that our top receivers are to the caliber of USC. I'm not saying it at all, but we do have threats out there this year. Like it's a solid enough receiver room where they shouldn't be just loading up the box and just playing, one safety deep on you. Like there should be something else happening here. And I think Femi Ajiboy is still good enough back to do some damage without Darius, but obviously not having Darius hurts. Transitioning to what we should be doing this week. We went to it last week, and I hope they honestly come out of the start with it. They should get Drake Lindsay running tempo offense early on, just because letting him make the checks and the calls against the defense has been the best our offense has looked in every game this year. So I'm hoping they lean on that. It's funny they brought up fast start. I think it's the same thing. You cannot have multiple 3-and-outs in a row like you did against Rutgers against this defense, because your defense is just going to get grinded away going against this physical Buckeyes offensive line. I want to see some tempo, and just if you have to throw it 45 times to give yourself the best chance of winning this football game, do it. Drake's your best football player, especially with no Darius Taylor. I want to see us, 5-10 yard plays, but still mixing the shots downfield. You got to do enough to keep them off balance. Co says, I'm just scared that if we lean on that, their pass rush will eat us up. It's very possible, and yet at the same time, I still think it's our best chance. Plus, this could be proven totally false. If we are in tempo, I'm hoping they blitz either 1 less or 2, it's just more noticeable. And that's assuming that our line can block well enough to give Drake some time. I believe they had 6 sacks last week against Washington, and I didn't verify this, but I saw someone tweet out that the D-line also themselves had all 6 of the sacks. It's not like they were having to blitz people to get that pressure. So I'm expecting a lot of chips, a lot of Cam Davis in to protect. It's just you're gonna need your receivers to catch the football, not have the dropsies. You're going to have Drake make great throws all game long, and you're going to need to win some 50-50 balls. That's just what it's going to have to be to have any chance of smelling an upset in this one. But, Co, that's a great point, and I think and to that point, though, I know it's all way easier said than done, but that's why you have to have some resemblance of a run game, like you were saying, Spencer. It's got to Feme, no matter what the game looks like, Feme should have probably still like 15 carries on like plays where you're trying to establish the run. 15 carries. So,
yep. Yeah, and if they can't truly establish a run game either, and it seems like they try to maybe do, sort of like an extension of the run game last week where we're just hitting quick passes at the tight end or just that quick little, it wasn't even a screen. It was just a quick dump it off to Smith and let him make a play in space. I think if we can do that, I don't know. We threw the ball to so many different guys last week that if we can, obviously this is a very talented defense and it's going to be tough to really scheme anything around them. But if we can make it not be predictable and, force them to make plays and create one-on-one matchups, hopefully we can hit one of those explosive shot plays if the opportunity presents itself, which I'm glad we finally did see some deep throws and that they did hit, but it feels like the offense is slowly kind of coming into its own. But this is going to be, this is the number one team in the country, number one defense. Like, it's going to be tough.
I wanted to say this when they were on here, and it's not just blowing smoke. Like, to me, watching right now, it's still early and teams can emerge and challenge them. I feel like there's a gap behind Ohio State right now, even at number one. I like Oregon a lot. I know Bama lost the first game. I think Bama looks really good right now. I think my top five, not that anyone's asking, would be, in no particular order really, would be Ohio State, Oregon, as far, I shouldn't say rankings, but the five best teams I think right now are Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, Bama, and Indiana. And I think those are just the five best football teams right now, in my opinion. But I think Ohio State is kind of, probably because of the teams they played and just I trust it more what I'm seeing. Like with that defense, there's a little gap between 1 and 2 right now. I don't know if you guys agree, but
I agree. They are just great. And I think what they both mentioned is like their thoughts on Julian Sayin. He doesn't have to do a whole lot or be Superman, really. Like, he's a great quarterback. His completion percentage is almost 80%. He's doing well. But when you have a defense like that, that's only surrendering 5.5 points per game, you don't really have to do anything too crazy,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Chris chimes in here. OSU, Oregon, Miami, Bama, and Texas Tech. Yeah, I do forget Texas Tech, and I want to see one more game. They looked great when they just smoked Utah. What was that, 2 weeks ago? But they look legit, and that's good. That's a good one to bring up. What I wanted to bring up too is just hearing them talk about the Buckeyes. Maybe they did briefly. Did they even bring up Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate? Like,
No.
Just phenomenal receivers that are. Jeremiah Smith is the number one in the country, and there's other great ones that have emerged. Don't get me wrong, but he's clear number one. And then Tate is also. He'd be a number one on most of the country, but the best number two probably in the country. Like, we didn't even talk about the wideouts. So, and they're phenomenal. Again, it's still an Ohio State receiver room. I'm just saying, like, this isn't. I don't even know. Ohio State's been really, really good for a while now under Dave, but like. This isn't they brought it up. It's not the Ohio State from 2021 where it was early in the year and they were putting a lot of stuff together still. I don't see it being that kind of game. It's just on the road and shocker, Ohio State is stacked once again this year. Very little. If you know, some things go without saying. We are rich at receiver. Yeah, absolutely. So another thing for and to that point, I do want to get your guys' thoughts on this. It's not being talked about enough how big of a loss. We haven't heard officially. I'm assuming Gooseby is out this game, and right. I know we have 3
devastating.
he plays every down though. Kerry Brown has been moved all over the field. Coy a little bit too, but Gooseby was your true sitting back there, free safety. Not having him, especially this game. And on top of that, Green came in and hurt his shoulder. It looked like it was out with how they were working on it. So potentially down 2 of the safeties. We kind of got in. I kind of discussed that a little bit with Eric, how the injury bug seems to kind of be rearing its head for us, unfortunately, right now. And for the most part, I think Ohio State has remained relatively healthy. So just another, if the talent differential was enough, it's just we're also a little bit more thin in our depth of where we really overall our deepest spot at safety. But I just want to get your guys' thoughts on the Gooseby and what it means for this game.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what the secondary had to do last week against Rutgers' passing attack, and they have really good wide receivers too, but it's not going to compare to this staff or this this wide receiver core.
Not as game breaking, I feel like, but big and possessive. Rutgers has
right, exactly.
Yeah,
like more so like Rutgers just with the straight up like mismatches in size, like they can just kind of create those mismatches where not a lot of defense can really cover what they're going to try to do. And they have the RPO, which is always just that element of you don't really know what's going to happen. But yeah, to that point, with Gooseby potentially being out, I mean, he's a guy I feel like you don't really notice all that often, but that's just because he plays such solid coverage in the pass game.
Yeah.
They completed some passes over him where he was in lockstep with the receiver.
He was right there. I'm glad you brought that up because I saw fans complaining about it. I'm like, I don't know what else you want him to do. He's all over the receiver.
Yeah, and as a safety too, like we need help at the defensive back position just with how thin we are at corner, and like if that dude can play over the top, I mean that's going to be devastating if he's not around. Obviously Parrish and Kerry Brown can make plays, but like we do need that true like cover safety in a game like this.
Yeah, curious to see how they handle that going forward.
Yeah, I mean on the bright side, probably Rutgers their group of receivers is probably one of the more talented groups that we're going to see this whole year.
I don't mean to talk down Rutgers receivers at all. If that's what it sounded like,
but Ohio State is a different beast. I mean, they're way better, and obviously, Kurt, you mentioned, Smith and Tate, and it's going to be hard. And when you're out some of your best guys, it's not going to be great, but it's going to be a challenge for the secondary. I think it's just got to be a bend but don't break sort of thing, because we know year after year when we face Ohio State, we seem to be a little competitive, but it's those breakout plays that just kill us and we have no chance at coming back. So just keep everything in front of you.
Anything else you guys want to bring up for a group discussion? I got one thing, but I'm just going to say it and then kind of lead into my score prediction.
Coy's going to have to play an All-American game.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah, I think Coy's going to have to be huge too, but
I just think, secondary's down. Just try and get something going on all three phases.
Last game. Yeah,
he did great. He totally reversed what happened against Cal. We just will need big time plays against Ohio State. Yeah. That's all we need, and he's a playmaker. So,
yeah.
Do you think we take the same strategy like we did against Rutgers, or he doesn't see the field on offense, just have him focus on defense and punt return?
I would say you might as well keep him focused on, special teams and defense, because I felt like we got the offense going great without him really being out there. So, I mean, you can, Kurt brought up a good point, like maybe throw in some wrinkles, get your eyes going somewhere, send Coy in motion or something, or do something that. It's not going to probably fool Ohio State and their stout defense, but maybe just kind of send someone in motion or do something.
If he's out there, send him deep so he's doing something that the other receivers can't do. Because he's not Lemecki, Tracy, and I'm blanking on our freshman's name. Who's our stud freshman? Smith, thank you. Those are your best three receivers. Those are the guys. And even Loya, has a different role that Coy can't fill. He's the shifty little slot guy. That's not Coy style. Especially with Gooseby down, I think he just plays defense. But if he is going to be thrown out there on offense for this game because it's tougher competition, he better be doing the deep routes and using his speed. Otherwise, it's like, what are we doing? And
Right.
I don't want to go back into it. If we're using somebody, we have burners that they talk about. Even if they know that we're using these guys to go deep, still put them out there so it's an option and then work off of that. I don't understand why, if you need somebody to stretch the field, we know Malachi Coleman's the fastest receiver along with Donnell Hayes, but they don't play right now. So it doesn't make sense to me. I know you have to understand and make the reads based on the coverage you're seeing. I'm saying, though, there's going to be times in this game where you're going to just be like, hey, we need something out there. Why not have those guys go out there and be like, yeah, you're running a fly, you're running a post. Just anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
With
at least
that
make
being
them
said-
cover the deep part of the field and get something
Right.
underneath, if anything.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Last time we were at Ohio State, we punted on their side of the field twice. And that is not what you want to do when you're trying to pull off the upset. I want to see us play and coach to pull off the upset this game. Yes, 1% chance of happening. I completely understand that. Yeah, you increase the odds of getting blown out when you're actually trying some plays that aren't, higher rates of success. But why not just go for it? Nobody is expecting you to win this game. If you lose 52-7, is everyone going to be like, wow, that was worse than I thought? Maybe Gopher fans, but nationally, I'm telling you, they won't bat an eye at it. You already have the one loss to Cal, and Ohio State's Ohio State. So I'm saying you might as well throw the kitchen sink at them. Go for it on 4th and shorts, obviously when you're not within your own 30-yard line or whatever. But, play to win. Play to win, PJ. We think we've gotten better at that. I want to see it. I'm not punting on 4th and 5 from the Ohio State 45 this game. You're not going to get the ball there very often, more than likely. So you got to get there. You got to move the ball and get points when you can, and you got to take every chance you can. So that's my prediction. I do like this Gopher team. Don't hold it against me, Gopher fans. My prediction's closer than our guest score. I'm going to stick with what I said on theirs. I'm going to go Ohio State 38. I think they control the ball a lot this game. I'm going to give us a touchdown. I'm going to go 38-10 Buckeyes in this one.
Nice.
I like it. Yeah. I actually have a very similar score prediction. And I guess my keys to the game. The first one, I wrote this down, but I kind of disagree with myself. I feel like I'm going to contradict myself.
I'll come back to it.
But really, initially I thought about just like, do we need to shrink the game and kind of make it close enough so that maybe by the end or the second half we can be sticking around a little bit. But I feel like shrinking the game is really just trying to burn the clock and not give up big plays. I think the big plays are probably going to happen as long as you can limit them and respond with big plays of our own. So it's really going to be staying in the fight and just kind of creating turnovers, making big special teams plays happen, which is my next key. Is really special teams not only can't play mistake free, but they have to be like lights out and maybe game breaking in a way. Like Coy's going to need a big return. We need some big punts.
Yeah.
I don't know if you touched on that in the recap, Kurt. I apologize. I didn't watch all of it, but
it was one of the best plays of the game.
It was great. Yeah. So we can have more of that to keep it going. And then kind of a similar key to what the Ohio guys talked about is we just can't start slow. And that's something we've done, it seems like, every game outside of the Northwestern State, which doesn't really count. I look back to, we have 0 first quarter points, I guess, against our FCS opponents. And it goes both ways. I mean, offensively and defensively too. I think sometimes we start a little bit sluggish on defense, and this is not the team that we can do that against. Maybe the new Hell's Bells entrance will be a distraction. I don't know. we need some help somewhere. But
absolutely.
But yeah, I'm optimistically, maybe this game is one of those like we saw a few years back where it's close coming at halftime, but then Ohio State just proves why they're the best team in the country and pulls away. But I've got Ohio State winning this one 34-10.
Okay. Slight cover. Really quick, Shooty. Well, I just wanted to say this. It's not a whole thing. Obviously, we're going to need help. Like, we need Ohio State to turn the ball over and kind of shoot themselves in the foot to have a chance. I just wanted to bring up the point defensively. This is a game where I would move Anthony Smith around. They know he's your best pass rusher. Obviously, primarily he's going to be lined up on their left tackle for sure. This is a game, though, depending on the situation. If you're gearing up to stop the run, or if you're gearing up to pass rush, I would just be moving him around so they have to be aware of him at all times and just try and create one-on-ones for different guys. That's obviously I think that's going to be their game plan. I know they have a tremendous offensive line, but I would be shocked if they're constantly just going. They would be silly to go single coverage against him just because of how much better he is than the rest of our guys at getting a pass rush. So that's something I would strongly consider if I'm Danny Collins, is moving Anthony Smith around inside and outside this game.
Well said. Yeah, my keys are pretty much on par with both of yours. I think one thing is, they mentioned it, that Ohio State has been off to kind of a slow start to start games, and I feel like the Gophers have too. If we can just start fast, I think that'll go in our favor. Even if that doesn't necessarily means run up the score somehow on this amazing defense, but don't turn the ball over, limit the 3 and outs, be competitive to start the game. I think that's...
To not go 3 and out, especially if you force a punt. Say Ohio State starts with the ball,
right,
and they punt it to you, and if you turn around and go 3 and out, I'm going to lose it. Harbaugh, you got to have something just to give your defense a little bit of a break and throw them off balance and make Ohio State try and settle in. Sorry, I keep jumping over.
No, that's all right. Yeah, and speaking of Harbaugh, I think too we got to play with PJ's bread and butter. Have the time of possession. The longer we can keep their offense off of the field, I think the better. Obviously, that's going to be difficult again against this incredible defense. And I know I think tempo, like you said, Kurt, is important. If we can somehow have a tempo mixed with holding onto the ball long enough, that would be great.
Tempo that's just moving the ball 5 yards every play and just controlling it, nickel and dime down the field.
Right, yeah. So that's number 2. And number 3, turnovers. I think if we can just mitigate turning the ball over, none of that, it gives you a chance where they can't just run up the score. That being said, Gophers are going to lose this game, but I'm going to give us 13-42.
All right. Yeah, I think it all depends on kind of the style Ohio State plays. Unfortunately, I do think it's just the game where the defense gets worn down as it goes on. But, hey, we'll see. I was pretty down on us after how we started last year, and then you went to Michigan. And Michigan's defense was good last year too, and we did some things there. So that's the only thing that's maybe. And I know this is a night game, and this is Ohio State, who's better than the 8-4 Michigan team or whatever Michigan was last year. So, But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. Let's just hope for the best. Yeah. And hey, it's already the game 5 if you're the Gophers of the season. Just enjoy it, man. The season goes too fast. Cheer them on, but don't expect a victory, obviously.
Right. But if you're PJ, though, I mean, is that kind of your whole mantra all week? Is just they have way more to lose than we do with this game. Like, no one expects us to even be competitive, so why not just go all out?
Why not us? I'm saying they're not expecting. Do you think there's any chance that they're expecting to lose to you? They're not. They're not even thinking about. I would be using all of those tactics.
Yeah.
But to Ryan Day's credit, Urban Meyers, maybe Buckeye fans feel differently. Urban Meyers would kind of mess around with teams sometimes, a couple weeks, immediately after or before a big game. And I know that's college football.
Yeah.
I don't see Ryan Day's teams do that very often. There's not a lot of messing around. When they're in a close game, it's because it's a good team. Ryan Day's teams don't seem to really mess around. So that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like those guys talked about, I mean, this is a team that had a pretty magical run last year and ended up winning a national championship. No one would be surprised if they came and looked a little bit lackluster the first few games of the year, and for those guys to show up and basically be like, no, we just wanted more again. That's impressive that team can do that.
Hey, players say that crap all the time. Though that doesn't worry me one bit. Like, being honest.
It doesn't worry Jason.
Yay.
Gophers.
Gophers 27, Buckeyes 24. Yeah, it would secure PJ the lifetime contract. I'm sure he would get paid $15 million a year going forward. And yeah, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Should we
All
move
right,
on to
fellas.
this dreadful section?
Yeah, it's time for the Sky U Pod Parlay of the Week, where we went 0-3 last week, which is just as hard to do. So
Fade us. Fade me. Whatever I pick, just fade it. Yeah. Day is 51-1 versus unranked opponents. Just saying. See what I did there? Saying. Yeah. We saw it. Our chili will be hot. Yeah, maybe that's the montage PJ puts together for this. Is some Tim Brewster clips, and you just play it. And hey, he's back. Isn't he coaching somewhere? He's a head coach somewhere now, isn't he? At like some
Arena League.
No, it's
no
like
idea.
It's like a small school in Charlotte, I thought, or something like that. But it is what it is. Gosh, Tim Brewster. Hey, no matter how bad this game goes, at least we're not in the Brewster era. That's what you can. That's what you can say.
Amen.
All right, I'm sorry. You're right. Back to this guy you put parlay of the week, fellas. There's no excuses. I can't say anything. I am 0 for 5, which is just impressive as 5-0. Some would say.
That's true.
This probably means nothing. And honestly, like, I'm looking at the board this week, and it's just like spinning. Like, I have no confidence in anything. I'm like, wow, I've never watched a day of college football in my life. So here's what I'm gonna say. Oh, Sacramento State, is that really where it's at? Appreciate it, Chris. So that's where Brewster's at. Here's my lock. The Bill Belichick experiment has not been going well. The Tar Heels take on Clemson Tigers. Dabo has been very upset, and if there was ever a chance for a get-right game, it's got to be this week if you're Clemson. You had national title expectations. You dropped a close one to LSU. You've dropped 2 straight now in conference. What are you going to be? Dabo, I'm begging you, get the horses out. To the Tar Heel brothers, I'm sorry. Still love you guys. I'm going Clemson minus 14.5 against the struggling Tar Heels. We're going to need all the Jordan, what's her face, girlfriend shots happening. We need to make her a story. Get her all over. Get the Tar Heels distracted. Maybe make some burners of her sliding into players' DMs, create some drama. I need this, Clemson. I'm warning you all now. If Clemson does not cover, I am going to the rest of the year pick the Gophers' opponent to cover and hope that the change continues and that it's good things for Gopher football. So that's what I'm going. Let's get your guys' picks in here, and then we'll pull up what Chris has to say on the lines this week.
Yeah, mine's interesting. I hope you don't have this one, Max, but Iowa State's on the road at Cincinnati. Cincinnati has been pretty good, but they're giving Cincinnati 1.5 points at home. I think Iowa State's a pretty good football team. I'm going to go with the Cyclones.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. I was between.
That's scary, but I do like
I was
that
actually I was between that and another one, so I'll go with my original and just stick to my guns. I'm going to take Illinois -9 at Purdue. I know they're coming off a big win against USC.
That's a good one.
Isn't that line just wild? I saw that and I'm like, that's the biggest stink line ever. But no, I'm with you. I love it. I love it on paper.
Right. Purdue offensively scares me a little bit, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just think Illinois is a much better team than being a 9-point favorite against Purdue.
And you called it. I got to give you props. You called the bounce back for Illinois. I bought into the USC hype. Never again. I never buy into that crap, and I bought into there. All right. Chris, our friend from the OHIO podcast, jumps in with his parlay here. Illinois over Purdue, lay the 9.5. Oregon versus Indiana. Is that game this week? Oregon, Indiana?
I didn't think so.
Anyway, he's
Maybe.
got Oregon. Maybe he's parlaying it with next week. Indiana to cover plus 10.5. Texas Tech at Houston. Texas Tech the 11.5. And he's got Vandy at Bama. Take the points with Vandy plus 10.5, and take OSU to cover the 23.5. Hey, we're not going to talk about that last one, but I don't hate it.
Indiana, Oregon's next weekend. But yeah,
okay,
they're coming up.
The line's probably already out though, so I got you. Yeah, I'm sure we'll cover. Let's get into our picks because I know that Vandy Bama's went in here. So what games are we picking this week, fellas?
Yeah, so great games this week. Let's start here in the Big Ten. Wisconsin's on the road at Michigan. Michigan's a 16.5-point favorite. I got the Wolverines.
Yeah, here's the thing. Badgers suck. And so I just don't think Michigan's coming off a bye as well. I still think that the Wisconsin logo Vegas is given like 3 points to a week, it feels like, in these spreads. So yeah, with that being said, I got the Wolverines covering.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Michigan as well. It's big enough to give me pause, but yeah, Wisconsin, I just don't know how they score at all.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I know Michigan hasn't been as well oiled in some aspects as we thought, but like, what does Wisconsin do well right now? They have a solid front seven. So maybe it's like maybe it is like a 20-7 game, but Michigan just dominates or something, and but that's the only way I see the Badgers covering. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, next, traveling to the SEC, Vanderbilt. They're on the road at Alabama. Alabama's a 10.5-point favorite. Like you mentioned, Kurt, Bama has been looking pretty good since their loss against Florida State. I'm going to go with Bama here.
I think so too, because I don't think they're overlooking anybody right now. Here's where I think Chris might maybe he just thinks Vandy's legit. And Vandy, I'm not saying Vandy's not legit. I think they're a solid team. Bama did just play Georgia, and that was a huge game. So I get the immediate follow-up with Vandy. And I know the Vandy quarterback gets a lot of talk. I think Ty Simpson is maybe playing as well as any quarterback in the country right now. He looks really, really impressive. And honestly, like, he's overcoming some drops from his receivers. Like, I feel like the offense could be doing better for Bama, but they got the dropsies at times here and there. So, yeah, Chris chimes in, letdown game. I get it. I'm just a little bit scared of the role they appear to be on, because I thought they should have, with how the game played out, I thought they were maybe going to pull away and put Georgia away by even more. So you're probably right. I've been awful all year, but I am going to take Bama at home.
Yeah, I'm going to take Alabama as well. I think it's a little bit more of maybe Vandy kind of turns back into a pumpkin at this point. And they've been on a great run, but I just don't think they're, going to be able to hang with the big dogs.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Vandy's only, like, marquee win the South Carolina team, who now looks like not a very good team? That's why they're up to like number 20 now or something, or 18.
Yeah, did they beat South Carolina or did they beat Virginia Tech, or did they beat both of them?
They beat both. Or no. I'm sorry. South Carolina beat Virginia Tech. I know.
That's right.
And then Vandy beat.
I think Vandy beat Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
As well.
Oh, they both played Virginia Tech?
Okay.
You're probably right. So anyway, those are Vandy's two big wins is South Carolina and Virginia Tech. Hey.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Vandy beat both. Yeah. Vandy
beat
both
that
of
gets
them
you
pretty well.
That gets you a top 20 ranking when you're in the SEC. So
This is a revenge game for Alabama too, right? Didn't Vandy beat them last year? Was that 2 years ago already?
They did. No, that was last year.
Crazy. Next, we have Boise State at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 19.5-point favorite. Give me them Irish.
Yeah, I think it even opened up. That moved 3 points. I think it was 16.5 when it opened, and everyone flooded Notre Dame's covering, obviously. So I'm with you. It does scare me because I never know what Boise's going to do, and it is a lot of points. And Notre Dame's defense has been suspect. They looked great last week, but it was also Arkansas who just fired their coach. So I'm kind of stuck, but like I do think Notre Dame's a good team. So I'm going to take Notre Dame.
I'm on your side, Chris. I'm taking the Boise Broncos. I just think it's a lot. Their offense has got enough talent to maybe sneak one out.
Sure.
Notre Dame definitely wins, but I think Boise can put up some points.
Yeah. Totally respect it.
All right, heading back to the SEC. Texas is on the road at Florida in the Swamp. Texas is 6.5-point favorites. Give me the Longhorns.
Yeah. I would be tempted to pick Florida if their offense didn't like fall off the face of the earth. They've had like no offensive punch at all this year. And so like if their offense would have just been decent, but DJ Legway, I don't even think it's all on Legway. I think he's still solid. Like can make some plays, but it's not clicking for them right now. So I just think Texas's defense overall is just going to kind of suffocate them out in this one. I think it's going to be a boring game, to be honest. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with Texas there as well. They need to fire Billy. They've fired like 4 straight guys, including Muschamp, who took them to the SEC title game. So yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what Florida's issue is. They need to go to that. I don't know what Black Magic Urban was working there. They need to. I don't feel bad saying this, but they need to go the Aaron Hernandez route in there and just get anybody back in there again playing football and get Gainesville back. But.
Agreed.
That one being in the Swamp is the only reason I'm going to take Florida. They're coming off a bye. I know Legway got banged up 2 weeks ago, but it just kind of feels like maybe this is the week Florida this is like their last stand. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Florida seems like one of those teams that is so dumb sometimes, and then they just surprise you with like, oh, they actually do have talent. That's right. Like
right, absolutely.
And I don't trust
like
LSU
LSU
yet.
Like against LSU. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to end with that. I'm definitely not picking Texas to cover because of Arch Manning. Like that was the most overblown. Maybe I can't think of a more overblown hype storyline we've seen than Arch Manning this year. And Dan Mullen. Yeah, I'm with you, Cam. Dan Mullen definitely did not deserve that firing. But yeah, I mean, no hyperbole. This sounds not crazy. Gopher fans I know are with me. I would not take Arch Manning at all over Drake Lindsay. Drake Lindsay,
not from what we've seen.
No, has been miles better than Arch.
Right. Yeah. Traveling back to the Big Ten, fellas. Washington's at Maryland. We kind of talked about Maryland a little bit and how they're okay, the turtle heads. Washington's 6.5-point favorites. Give me the Huskies.
I want to, because I do think Washington should win this game by 7. Here's my thing. I believe Maryland's coming off a bye. If Mike Locksley pulls this game off, when everyone, including me, considered them dead in the water, he's got his job back. That's what gives me pause this game, is them traveling all the way out east for this game. I'm building up this case, and I really don't know who to go with. It's stupid. Give me Maryland at home. Give me Maryland to cover. I don't think they win, but I'm going to take them to cover.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to take Maryland too. I think they're a little bit sneaky this year. It's like the most obvious bounce back spot for Washington, but then they got to go all the way to the other side of the country and play to them an early. It's like an 11:30 kick for them.
Yeah, it's also
and they got to get up
prime
early,
time. Mike Locksley October or early October game though, and just falling off. That's why I picked Maryland. I don't have confidence in Maryland.
To hold on to your butts.
Yeah. I don't know if it's on there. Can we pick Michigan State, Nebraska?
That's what's next. Yeah, Michigan State's on the road at Nebraska. Nebraska's 11.5-point favorites. Give me the Spartans.
Yeah, another line that shot up. Here's the thing. I know Sparty was battling some injuries. I think most of them ended up playing in USC when I picked USC to cover, which was unfortunate for me. If Sparty can be patient enough and hit some run plays, because Nebraska has been giving up, I think it's 6 yards a carry to FBS teams on the ground. They can absolutely cover those points and maybe pull off an upset, although I don't think they will. I think Nebraska's offense is really good, and I don't trust Sparty's defense at all. So if Sparty can score but also run the ball, so it's not just their defense on the field all the time, I think Sparty can cover that spread.
I'm going to take Nebraska at home.
What? You and all the Vegas people.
For the last reason you just said, I feel like Nebraska's offense against Michigan State's defense could have a field day, and it could get a little bit ugly. Michigan State is offensively, like Aiden Childs has played a lot better than he did last year, but they to me feel like a team that's been very up and down, and I'm just hoping it's the down week.
Right. No, fair enough.
All right. Lastly, we have battle in Florida. Miami is at Florida State, and they're giving Miami 4.5 points. For the sake of chaos in the ACC and rankings, give me Florida State to cover and the win, coming off of a heartbreaking loss last week against Virginia. Give me the Seminoles.
I'm stuck between two schools of thought. Like maybe that loss woke them up, because I thought that first half, I really thought Florida State looks like clearly the better team. They are just playing so stupid, and they looked legit. Heatherman's got it rolling on defense, and to the Hurricanes' credit, they've been running the ball well. And by the end of that game, Florida State could not stop anything on the ground. So I want the Seminoles to win this game bad, but I got to take Miami. I just think they're going to out-physical them, to be honest, in this one.
Yeah. My gut tells me Miami, but I'm with Spence too. I just really want Florida State to pull this one out. Yeah.
Hey, I like that.
I think Miami's been great. College football is just better when Miami's good too. But there is something about them that I don't fully trust for some reason.
I kind of trust them after the Notre Dame, and I know it sounds silly, but like UCF, and then again, that was against Florida. UCF was giving a lot of teams close games, and then they just throttled them. So I don't know. I feel like they've passed the eye test in all regards. And then who was their last kind of close game where they dominated? Oh, Florida. Miami then dominated Florida as well, where that game got close for no reason. Miami dominated every aspect of it and then pulled away. But hey, I hope I'm wrong. I like Mike Norvell. I've always kind of liked the Seminoles. I don't really know why, but maybe Jameis Winston and some crab legs luck will come back and get that dub for him. Should be a great game, hopefully.
Well, that'll do it, Gopher fans. Thanks a lot again for tuning in to another episode of Sky U Pod. And thanks again to both Eric and Chris from the OHIO podcast for joining us today. Be sure to check them out at their YouTube channel, but also check us out on YouTube, X, or wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Please like and subscribe, as it helps bring awareness to the podcast to spread that Golden Gopher love across the nation. Also, check out our partners' website, thecollegehuddle.com, for more podcasts and articles about all things college football. Thanks again. Have a great night, and go Gophers.